Policy Research Institute has published a report looking into the openness of the budget process in Jamaica. Overall, the report finds that while Jamaica is above the global average, it is still short of the international benchmark. I'll examine some of the key findings of the report with the Executive Director of CAPRI, Dr. Damian King. Let's start lead story on this Friday. Welcome to Lead Story on this Friday. My name is George Davis. The region's leading policy research think tank, CAPRI, has published a report looking at the openness of the budgetary process. Yes, that's a thing. And what they've found is that, yes, Jamaica ranks below what the international benchmark is, even though we're doing better than many other countries in the region. But what is the utility of an open budgetary process, and how much more open can it be beyond the usual formula of the budget call made to ministries, departments and agencies, and the Standing Finance Committee that is broadcast on PBCJ, where the members of parliament interrogate some of the allocations under the various headings. And then we have the theatre of the budget debate. CAPRI says, well, that is just a part of what the process ought to be inclusive, transparent, and to have the participation of the public that is necessary for the vast sums being spent on the public's behalf by an administration in office. CAPRI's Executive Director, Dr. Damian King, but he prefers Damian. He is in studio with me this evening. Good evening, sir.
Thank you, George. Nice to be here.
Excellent. So the obvious question is this. A member of the public reading this report, the main question they should ask after consuming what CAPRI's work has shown is what?
There are two things that we want to communicate to the public from this kind of report. First of all, that openness is a thing. That what's important about the budget is not just, whether so many billions is spent on for the Ministry of Education and so many billions for security, but the budget represents the government exercising control over the people's money. And so there's an obligation of the government to be transparent in how it formulates the budget and to be transparent about what happens to the money after they have allocated it and spent it. So transparency is important. It's the people's money, they have a right to know. Also, oversight is important. That is the job of the Auditor General's department, who examines the spending in the various ministries and departments. It's also the job of the Public Affairs and Accounts Committee of Parliament. The PAC does that as well. But it's not sufficient for just two institutions to do it. The public really has to be the one overseeing everything government does. And participation. We have a history in Jamaica of, and I mean not just Jamaica, public bureaucracies tend to have a culture of secrecy. That what happens there is important and complex, and
you're not going to understand.
We know, exactly. And so, if it's the people's money, then the people should have a say in how it is allocated, to whom it is allocated, and how it is used. So mechanisms of participation are important, and we have painfully few of those.
Yeah. Well, we've just established why the open budget process is indeed important to you. And by digesting the findings of CAPRI's report, what you should begin to ask yourself and ask of your elected representatives, and what you should demand where examination of the things that go into the budgetary process are concerned. After this break, we'll dive into some of the details of what CAPRI found, and of course look at where we stand and why we still continue to be behind the international benchmark, even though we're doing better than so many other entities, other countries in this part of the world.
Pay nothing down on a shiny, brand new Hyundai vehicle with free loan payments until March 2025. Yes, get a 2024 Hyundai vehicle and get free loan payments until March 2025. 100% financing, 2 years free service, 0 processing fees, and other sweet goodies. Drive into the new year with your new ride. Goodbye, old car. Hello, Hyundai. Hyundai. For free payments promotion. Limited stock available. Offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
A mammogram can shape your motherhood. The Jamaica Cancer Society, helping women now. Visit the website at jcs.live. Early detection saves lives.
Hey you know all the people in your business?
You should take advantage of CVM TV's unbeatable small business advertising package. Trust me.
And get your goods and services in front of your customers today.
For $150,000, you get a high-quality professional commercial.
Plus 20 prime-time commercial spots.
That's massive exposure at a fraction of the cost.
Including on the #1 morning show in Jamaica, Sunrise.
So don't wait. Call us on 658-208-5377 and see your business goals happen right here on CVM Television.
Welcome back to Lead Story here on CVM TV, talking to the Executive Director of the Caribbean Policy Research Institute, Dr. Damian King, consequent upon the publication by CAPRI of a survey into the openness of the budget process in Jamaica. CAPRI did make some recommendations, among them this one, concerning the openness of the budgetary process. And if we look at it now, so it says the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service should produce and publish a pre-budget statement at least a month before the executive's budget proposal is submitted to the legislature for consideration. And of course, the important thing to ask from this, Damian, is why a month? Why not 6 weeks? Why not 8?
Okay, so first, some context.
Yes.
In terms of transparency, it requires no fewer than 8 critical government documents be made available freely accessible to the public. Jamaica produces and publishes online 7 of them, and that is why they score so highly, and is to be, in terms of a framework for transparency, is to be respected. But there's one document, which is that pre-budget statement, that is critical to the process. And the reason why it is critical and the reason why it has to be published so early is that, as you will appreciate, many of these budgetary decisions are made early in the process. Yes. You know, by the time we get down to January and February and March, pretty much all of that is set in stone.
Settled, yes.
And so, if the public is going to have an opportunity to be able to have some say in the budget process, that has to take place when the Ministry of Finance is gathering information to start making the allocation, when the discussions are going to start. So it's really important that that document be published as early as possible in the budget cycle, which takes place 6 months before it comes to Parliament.
Yes, and even before we go to the next recommendation, the obvious question is, at this point, from my perspective, why is it that none of our members of Parliament, outside of the Finance Minister, outside of the Prime Minister, anybody senior, beg your pardon, in the administration, why is it that nobody has ever said, well, this budget process, beg your pardon, this budget process, I have to take some water. I have to take some water.
You see,
it's stuck. Hold on.
Understood.
Here I go. This budget process is not transparent enough. I've never heard that said on the floor of Standing Finance Committee meeting.
We are not convinced that there is sufficient appreciation in the government of the importance of transparency and participation and oversight.
Okay.
And particularly the participation one. So, for example, during the parliamentary debate, the public is able to come into the gallery, and it's televised live. They are able to watch what is going on. But there's no opportunity before that for people to say, this is the problem we're having, and this is how we think the allocation should be. Now, to be fair, the government, and in particular the Minister of Finance, believes that there are mechanisms in place, and to some extent there is. The parliamentary process, the fact that the constituency, the residents of a constituency, have a representative in Parliament is supposed to be that channel. But how effective is it when the person who then sits in Parliament feels an obligation, as we have seen, to defend the government rather than challenging the government based on what he brings from his constituency?
So here's the thing, though. If we go along that line, there is not then this demand from the public for more openness. What is the efficacy in the end for this process to be even more transparent, more open to public participation, and more in line with legislative oversight requirements?
Well, they are laid out in the recommendations, and I strongly recommend anybody who is viewing this and is interested in what we propose to go to Capri's website, capricaribbean.org. The publication launched yesterday is on that website, and the recommendations are there listed. But one of the critical ones is that we are now in an age where technology, and particularly the fact that everybody has a cell phone that's connected to the internet, facilitates mechanisms of participation and mechanisms of gathering information that did not exist 20 years ago. And we can take advantage of those.
Yes. But see, I can see the efficacy in this. As a journalist, I would like to see beforehand. Therefore, I can begin to formulate serious questions to budget holders and the heads of ministries, as to how their expenditure plans are shaped. But I'm saying, are we then investing in saying the government should do better to invest in a process that brings the public along further about what they should demand to know, rather than keep them where they are at this point?
Yes, that's really the point of this whole exercise.
Yes.
But again, always want to put it in context. So to appreciate the fact that Jamaica's process and institutional framework is actually ahead of those other countries in the region, and scores well when compared to many developing countries. But if we are going to get to the point where our budgeting process pushes the country and economic growth to the countries we aspire to belong to and to raise standards of living, that requires Jamaica not getting into the fiscal problems that have dogged it for its entire history. And we are not going to do that if government is making decisions in relative secret. And so that is why it is important to push this process forward further, and to get more transparency, to get more participation, and to get more oversight.
And one more question before the break, because here's this thing now. When you said that of the 8 things that they really ought to do, they've done 7 in terms of the documents that they should publish. 7 of 8. That, I was about to ask the question, if where they are ranked now on the global scale, if they're ranked there by virtue of happenstance, or is it that they have made a concerted effort to meet these benchmarks?
So the answer is yes and no. The yes part is that it's not by happenstance. We have improved as a country our institutional framework and our processes in fiscal budgeting and management over the last, I would say, 20 years to take us to this point. But since Capri started doing this exercise, this is the 3rd installment of this thing we call budget scorecard, that our scores have not increased significantly, even though we made some of these recommendations from 4 years ago. So that's the no part, that we really can push this process further.
Well, you say yes and no. And but yes is self-explanatory. Very well. All right. After the break, we'll look at the 3 pillars on which the report is built. The issue of transparency, the issue of legislative oversight, and of course the critical issue of public participation, which we've touched in some way as well. My voice is back, and we can flow smoothly after these.
mammogram can shape your motherhood. The Jamaica Cancer Society, helping women now. Visit the website at jcs.live. Early detection saves lives.
The time by Grace. Taste that moves you is
6:45.
Pay nothing down on a shiny, brand new Hyundai vehicle with free loan payments until March 2025. Yes, get a 2024 Hyundai vehicle and get free loan payments until March 2025. 100% financing, 2 years free service, 0 processing fees, and other sweet goodies. Drive into the new year with your new ride. Goodbye, old car. Hello, Hyundai. Hyundai. 4 free payments promotion. Limited stock available. Offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Sugar Lifestyle is coming to Montego Bay with Taylor Jamaican, powered by ATL Automotive, CVM TV, and Fleet Jamaica. It will be by the Audi and Porsche showrooms from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. See you at Taylor Jamaican this Saturday, October 26th. All are welcome for free.
No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
Welcome back to Lead Story here on CVM TV. Let me say straight up that I'm a firm believer in the process of open budget. I believe in the work that Capri has done in this area. The questions I ask to interrogate the answers, to interrogate issues and to bring forth the answers where the naysayers may put some obtuse view or some alternative view on the table. You can hear that question asked for you to have information to neutralize any argument that will suggest that open budgetary process is not important and it's just for the birds, because what happens in terms of the process as it is serves the purposes very well of having the public know and contribute to how the tax dollars are spent that they contribute to the government's coffers. Damian, here's the thing now. Public participation, transparency and legislative oversight. I know that clearly if you have those 3 broad pillars, there may be weaknesses across all 3, or there may be weaknesses in one more than any other 2. Let's deal with the legislative oversight. Is that cohesive enough to elicit the kind of improvements to lift Jamaica further up the global ranking where they are?
Well, even though the Auditor General's Department does an outstanding job, and we do have the PAAC in Parliament,
yes,
if you can create mechanisms where citizens can provide oversight,
yes,
if citizens have the information to begin with, then citizens can report whether what is intended to be done and what is announced is actually done.
Mm-hmm.
So there's room for improvement there. There's also room for improvement in transparency, even though we said that they published 7 of the 8 documents.
Yes.
Because part of our recommendations are that several of those documents could be more comprehensive,
yes,
giving the public more detailed information.
Yes.
So the government publishes, there are 3 things you want to know in terms of government expenditure. Who is doing the spending? Ministry of, Works. What it is being spent for, whether it's being spent for the purpose of education or transportation,
mm-hmm,
and what it is being spent on, what is the thing that is being bought.
Yes.
So that's kind of look at 3 different perspectives on the same thing.
Yes.
If all of that information is published in detail,
yes,
and made accessible, then citizens can go on a website and find out, how much did the Ministry of Health spend on training,
yes,
by buying uniforms.
mm-hmm,
And bringing it down to that level of granularity allows everybody to have oversight. Well, it says that much money was spent, but, from my view, inside or outside of government, I don't see the product of that expenditure.
mm-hmm,
So where might it have gone?
mm-hmm.
So that allows both, having more transparency,
Yes,
allows us to have more oversight.
yes. And I'm also seeing something in what you say, whereby the same MPs we speak about who convene at Standing Finance Committee, the work they do is supported by citizen participation, because I can tell you, having to watch them and to sit through, it's a slog sometimes. And the bulk of the time usually gets consumed by an argument between the finance minister and his opposition shadow across, and everybody sits and watches. And then you may have the spokesman on agriculture raising an issue about the Ministry of Agriculture, but you don't go into granular detail about the departments and agencies under the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining as it is now, or any department or agency under the broad heading of, say, the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of Transport. And I've always found that this gap, you leave a huge burden on journalists who are, I'm ashamed to say what I have to say, non-reading people. And it's a bad mark when a democracy has non-reading journalists. But I can see the utility, I'm using that word again, Damian, to talk about how open budget participation and giving more information can advance the interrogation of those numbers published in that big yellow book once per year.
Yeah, and as much as you want to make the case that maybe journalists don't make as much effort as they would like to,
yes,
or as we would like them to, then facilitating whatever effort they make can only come to good.
Yes. All right. So insofar as the response from the government has been over time, you say that several recommendations made by Capri over time have not been taken, which is, I mean, it's just something Jamaica road. You'll do studies, you make recommendations, many of them don't get the time of day. How optimistic, I don't want to say confidence, a different thing. How optimistic are you that based on where we are, I think close enough to decency in a global rank, that the recommendations out of this exercise, some of them will get implemented not too long from now?
Capri actually has a decent record of getting many of its recommendations taken on, both by the government and by private actors acting in the public interest.
Yes.
So it's not generally a problem.
Yes.
So we have reason, but we do believe that there is, people focus on the numbers in the budget, and there is a failure to appreciate the importance of the budget process.
Yes.
So we think that by doing this report and calling attention to it, there is no reason to think a priori that these recommendations and this spotlight we're putting on the process, many parts of it will not be taken up.
Do you believe that information should be shared with the public from as early as when those budget calls are made to the CEOs of the various agencies of government?
That is the pre-budget statement that we call for.
There you go. There you go. So when those submissions are made to the finance ministry,
then part of the information that is coming into the government should be that from the public that indicates these are our priorities, these are our issues, these are our concerns with what happened last time. So everything can be considered at the same time. Instead of, the government making those decisions, and by the time the thing is published, it's set more or less in stone.
And based on how wieldy the whole process is, this does not, in Capri's view, cause protraction in the budgetary process sufficient as to undermine the streamlined process that is in play now.
Exactly, because you started early enough.
There you go. All right. So one last one before you go. In terms of a country that does it well, where's that benchmark country that you say, well, if we could do it like them, then we'd be cooking with gas?
So the survey that we do in cooperation with the International Budget Partnership, and this is called the Open Budget Survey.
Yes.
They have 125 countries now. That gives us the benchmark against which we measure what Jamaica has done.
Yes.
Jamaica is ranked 55 out of 125 countries, which is why I say we are doing okay.
Yes.
But many of the countries in North America and Europe rank above us.
Would we say OECD countries?
So OECD countries, which is a club of basically mostly rich countries.
Yes.
So that's where we want to go.
There are no shortage of examples to follow, is what you're saying.
Indeed. And particular examples in the areas that we have called attention to.
Yeah. I don't know if I read wrong, but I saw something where is Honduras ranked higher than Jamaica?
I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know where Honduras is ranked. But Dominican Republic.
Yes.
has mechanisms that we could use.
There you go. All right. So even regionally, there are examples.
Oh,
that we
absolutely.
can take. Excellent. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Glad to be here.
I apologize for the glitch in the matrix, but we made it in the end. There you go. It's just enough time for me to say that yes, an open budget process is key. Information to the public is key, and I'm welcoming this report because I've long felt as a journalist that ordinary Jamaicans are not made to feel involved in the budgetary process. It happens under the cloak of darkness. The budget call is made. You see people running around in the various agencies of government trying to put things together, submissions to send to the finance ministry by a cutoff date, and then all of a sudden it appears in the estimates of expenditure. And then you look through that if you are, if you have the intelligence to read and understand what's there, and then you submit yourself to the budget process, and then you repeat and rinse year after year. It calls for more involvement, more input directly from the public, and also a more informed citizen can light the fire under their political representative to say, well, you need to do a better job pressing these concerns home when you sit at the Standing Finance Committee that's convened as a matter of course before the budget debate starts. And I'm all for the open budgeting process, and I'm committing the Capri report to you for your consumption and understanding so you can see what your rights ought to be as citizens of this country whose taxpayer dollars are being spent by the administration in office. That's my time for this week. I want to thank the Executive Director of Capri, Dr. Damian King, for stopping by. And thanks to you for watching. The news at 7 is up next.
Challenges are everywhere and things are constantly changing, but independent living remains the same. Rising above physical challenges, we can help you do it. For years, we have been Jamaica's trusted provider for solutions to improve patient care, safety, and general quality of life. No matter your age or your physical limitation, we are the caring store, waiting to serve you. It's time to experience independent living. Visit us today.
Pay nothing down on a shiny, brand new Hyundai vehicle with free loan payments until March 2025. Yes, get a 2024 Hyundai vehicle and get free loan payments until March 2025. 100% financing, 2 years free service, 0 processing fees, and other sweet goodies. Drive into the new year with your new ride. Goodbye, old car. Hello, Hyundai 4 free payments promotion. Limited stock available. Offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
That's me on the corner. People don't bother feel like you can predict who is going to be in the shop with me. A ship carry you back at controversial. How old were you?
8 years old.
Now we're contemplating. These are the digits.
Oh.
What kind of episode is this? Another junction in life. I have 2 left foot then, sir. Yeah, you know. Yeah, man. See the back of the Nigeria now. This is my show, and you will not drop word from me. They even know them things. TJ, I can't say that no. You're going to mash up some house.
You know, say barber shop is really there ready to make your cut.
So, where you cut before? The cut, okay. Now I'm where I want to be.
The Cut is brought to you by Flow.
Hey, you know all the people in your business?
You should take advantage of CVM TV's unbeatable small business advertising package. Trust me.
And get your goods and services in front of your customers today.
For $150,000, you get a high-quality professional commercial.
Plus 20 prime-time commercial spots.
That's massive exposure at a fraction of the cost.
Including on the #1 morning show in Jamaica, Sunrise.
So don't wait. Call us on 658-208-5377 and see your business goals happen right here on CVM Television.
Sugar Lifestyle is coming to Montego Bay with Taylor Jamaican, powered by ATL.
Get affordable insurance with Sagicor Pro Shield. The time by Sagicor Life is
7 o'clock.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, as general elections draw nigh, Golding is ahead of Holness in New Don Anderson poll. Surgery delays at a BHC. Members of medical mission upset. ODPEM reviews policies as it braces for more severe natural disasters. In the business report, Norman Manley International Airport to be upgraded to first class. While in sports, big win for champions Mona as the second round of Manning Cup kicks off.
Good evening to you. It is Friday, the 25th day of October. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Carolyn Brown. Well, up first tonight, the political landscape is shifting, and as recent polling data indicate, a notable increase in favorability for opposition leader Mark Golding over Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Now, this shift comes at a critical time with the nation's political climate becoming increasingly charged. The latest statistics derived from a Don Anderson poll commissioned by business stakeholders reveal public sentiment may be leaning towards Golding. There's Shante McNeil with what analysts are saying.
So, Carolyn, as supporters of the Jamaica Labour Party and the People's National Party gear up for the upcoming general elections, many have already made their voices heard regarding their preferred candidates. Recent history reflects a higher favorability for the ruling party. However, the latest Don Anderson poll indicates a shift in this trend. Now, what could be driving this change in public sentiment? We spoke with political commentators to explore the current landscape and what it means for both parties. In a major turn of events, supporters for the People's National Party are rewriting the narrative of Jamaican politics with a recent Don Anderson poll revealing a notable shift in public sentiment, with opposition leader Mark Golding emerging as a formidable contender against the Jamaica Labour Party's leader, Andrew Holness. The poll indicates that 36.3% of respondents are now in support of Golding, compared to 32.4% for Holness. This marks a pivotal shift as the PNP has overtaken a JLP that has, in recent history, enjoyed a stronger backing. As for those still undecided, the results reveal 27.4% for Holness and 38.3% for Golding. Political commentator Roger Bent suggests that this shift can be attributed to a more unified approach for Golding's leadership.
I think the parties are seeming to be unified is helping his image, and with the less infighting that is taking place within the PNP now, is now making him seem stronger and a more unified force. Secondly, I think the issue that the showing at the recently concluded People's National Party conference, in which he was highlighted as this family man, as this strong leader, as this facilitator.
Social and political commentator Sandra Roden notes that given the recent controversies surrounding the Prime Minister, the rise in the opposition's favorability was expected.
Of course, they have been attacking the Prime Minister on many different fronts, so of course that would lead to that unfavorability rating or that low favorability rating as well for the Prime Minister. He's being attacked, he's the leader, so naturally he's going to be unpopular. And then, of course, they're bringing out that positive side of Mark Golding, him dancing, his son speaking. And, that makes people view more favorably.
And in response to whether or not these results may indicate a difficult fight ahead for the Prime Minister to secure his spot in the next general elections,
I think this election is going to come down to base versus base, who can pull out their base more, because it's still in the margin of error. There is a lead, but it's like a 2% lead or 3% lead if we consider the margin of error. So it's not a clear cut to say voter intention has shifted. Right now I'm saying that voter intention might might be straight down the middle now, and it's a matter of what happens in the next couple of months. But what I can say is that the consistency of the PNP in their attacks, in their opposition tactics, can lead to greater voter intent. The inability of the JLP to respond to that can lead to that as well.
As the public sentiment continues to shift, all eyes will be on the upcoming general elections, where voters will be left to decide whom they deem fit to lead the next government. For CVM News, I'm Shante McNeil.
Shante, well, the Bustamante Children's Hospital, the BCH, is at the center of much attention after a number of surgeries had to be postponed. The procedures were scheduled to be performed by a medical missionary team out of the United States. Now, the development sparked disappointment as the professionals had prepared extensively for the occasion. As Adrian Williams reports, the circumstances for the delay prompted immediate action from the health minister.
Disappointed families and doctors who were not able to carry out the procedures as planned. In an emotional response, head of a medical mission from the United States, Dr. Robert Bradley, who visits twice per year, believes the hospital should be the gold standard in the Caribbean.
Come here because I want to help the people. I want to help my children. This is the only children's hospital currently on the hospital in the island. We're probably the most technologically advanced Caribbean island in healthcare-wise. We have to be the gold standard.
He commends the doctors and staff and the facility who do a great job with the patients, but says the infrastructure is not matching up as the intended 16 surgeries for which he came had to be reduced to 5.
But there are some clear infrastructure issues here. Okay, I've been coming here for 20 years. There's some very clear infrastructure issues that need to be solved. You know, I made a request 2 months ago when we heard the air conditioning issues. I said we need to fix it, or you need to make accommodations somewhere else. Now the fact that they want to make accommodations, make the decision today to do it tomorrow, that's not right. It's not right for the patients.
To rectify the issues at the hospital, such as higher than normal condensation levels in one of the operating theaters, Minister of Health, Dr. Christopher Tufton, says leasing equipment with service contracts is one solution. But with this method in progress, there still remains another issue.
But even with the service contract, we're being told that the part has to be manufactured and it takes 5 months.
The minister is in the process of reviewing contractors whose strict mandate will be to maintain public health facilities.
Private entity, wherever that entity is from, that possesses a suite of skill sets, like an engineering, mechanical, plumbing, electrical firm type of thing, that has the experience, where we would contract them to coordinate the overall maintenance of the plant, of a health facility.
Dr. Bradley urges the authorities to fix this issue.
We donate thousands of dollars of equipment because we want to help these people, and you guys have to put the infrastructure in place for allow us to do that. It's absolutely necessary.
Adrian Williams for CVM News.
Well, after touring the hospital, the opposition also raised concerns. The spokesperson on health, Dr. Alfred Dawes, believes the government could have treated the situation much differently and better. Trisha Gay Kelly picks up that story.
The surgeons were supposed to conduct 16 spinal surgeries but could only facilitate 5. The opposition believes the government had a more laid-back approach to the situation. Opposition spokesperson on health, Dr. Alfred Dawes, says the issues were always present.
As far back as August 26, out of the 6 operating theaters, barely 2 were functional. And the hospital had gone into emergency mode, meaning that they were only doing emergency cases and a few short duration elective surgeries.
But this, he says, is only one concern. There's an even bigger issue with the few operating theaters that are functional.
When you have a theater that is supposed to be 60-something degrees Fahrenheit, going up to 80 degrees, where surgeons are sweating while they are dealing with sterile cases that involve implants, metals that you're stitching up in somebody's body. That is a recipe for disaster. And some of these theaters, they get so hot and humid that you actually see the walls sweating.
Dr. Dawes highlights that this could cost the government billions to rectify, referencing it as the same issue that fueled the deterioration at the Cornwall Regional Hospital in St. James. He says it's disappointing that the government did not ensure things would run smoothly for the surgeons who flew to Jamaica just to assist with spinal surgeries.
It's poor people picnic who will feel this the most. Because if you have money that can pay the over $1 million for the implants, you can get the surgeries done. But if you cannot come up with the over $1 million to get the surgeries done, these missions are the only way because they provide the equipment and the implants to those who need it most.
It's a huge concern for the health sector, with many citizens expressing their disappointment in the government's attitude towards the situation. Trisha Gay Kelly, CVM News.
And we'll have lots more news for you in just a moment.
From Friday, October 25 to Sunday, the 27th. Save $30,000 or more on smart TVs, stoves, fridges, washers, dining, bedroom, and lounge furniture. Make your first payment in January 2025 when you shop on credit 18 months and over. Don't miss the big payday sale at Courts, October 25 to 27, with savings of $30,000 or more. Stores open 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Courts, bringing value home. Conditions apply.
Jamaica, get ready! Saturday, October 26th, live on the lawns of Uimona. It's Boys to Men. Singing your favorite hits. Also performing live, Tess and Chin and Lila Ike. Get your tickets now at caribtix.com, Kingston, Jer, and Fontana. Saturday, October 26th, 2024. It's Boys to Men, live on the lawns of Uimona. Starts at 8 p.m. Sponsored by Supreme Ventures, Mayberry, Main Event, Island Grill, and Courtly Hospitality Group.
Coca-Cola just became besties. Taste the new limited editions while they last.
It's a big payday sale at Courts. Friday, October 25 to Sunday the 27th. Save $30,000 or more on top furniture, appliance, and electronics brands. 3 days of mega savings. The big payday sale at Courts, bringing value home. Conditions apply.
Welcome back and thanks so much for staying with us. Lawmakers reignited the debate over protection for the country's elderly in the Upper House on Friday. Among the calls for reform, a proposal to establish a minimum pension floor and mandatory contributions to the National Insurance Scheme. Senators argued the steps could provide crucial support for aging citizens struggling with financial insecurity. Ramon Gordon has more on the session.
The Senate today rallied behind a call for urgent legislative reform for the elderly, with Senator Peter Bunting proposing a minimum pension floor to safeguard retirees against poverty.
At the time when the retirement ages were set at either 60 or 65, the life expectancy was not much more than that. So now that pension has to carry them for another 20 years, let's say. And of course, with inflation, after 10 years, even what might have started out as adequate or near adequate would now be insufficient.
Bunting highlighted alarming figures showing that fewer than 20% of Jamaican workers have pension coverage, leaving many vulnerable after retirement. He's suggesting possibly setting this minimum floor at the level of the national minimum wage.
Ideally, we would want to do this for everyone, but I suspect that it might be a prohibitive cost. And therefore, I would suggest that at least let's start with those who have given public service and who serve, this country well.
Senators further debated the need for broader legislative action to address the growing challenges faced by aging Jamaicans. Senator Gabriella Morris emphasized critical issues in public health care, describing elderly constituents forced to travel long distances for essential treatment due to a lack of local facilities.
I want to encourage the minister. Nobody is trying to make trouble. These are the realities that people are facing.
The matter of costing came up, with the consensus being it would take significant capital to fix what Government Senator Shireen Golding Campbell has conceded to be decades of neglect. However, Senator Donna Scott Motley had a proposal.
We also need to take a good look at the National Insurance Scheme to see if we can mandate the contributions, because in a way this is actually preparing somebody to be cared for in the future.
Senator Professor Dr. Floyd Morris originally raised the proposal in 2021, which called for comprehensive elder care laws. According to Senator Shireen Golding Campbell, the Labour Ministry is already advancing the charge with an elder care and protection program.
That program is expected to be finalized, I believe, in this fiscal year, and I'm told that a draft plan is actually currently under review.
Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
Now, the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, has been a cornerstone in the country's resilience against natural disasters. However, even the most prepared agencies can be caught off guard by unforeseen events. The increasing frequency and intensity of disasters due to climate change and other factors have prompted a critical reassessment of existing protocols. So ODPEM hosted a policy meeting with various stakeholders with that in mind. Trisha Gay Kelly, I wonder what more she can tell us about that. Trisha Gay?
Well, Carlin, the hurricane season is ending, but we're not out of the woods just yet, which is why the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, is tightening its grip on policies for the country's disaster risk management system. The agency met with stakeholders on Thursday to discuss the way forward as the disasters come one by one. After Hurricane Beryl wrecked the agriculture sector and others in July, the agency seemingly wants to take a proactive approach for the future. ODPEM's Acting Director General Richard Thompson says the aim is to reduce the impact of these disasters on all sectors that affect the economy.
When you look at the economics of disasters and what you have to put in mitigation and preparedness, and what you save at the back end in terms of your response and your recovery strategies, it is important that you're looking at your vulnerable sectors and your vulnerable sectors that impacts greatly your GDP, tourism, agriculture.
One of the most vital aspects of preparing is firstly knowing. The Meteorological Service of Jamaica is also tightening its grip on forecasting to better assist the various sectors, particularly the vulnerable. Principal Director Evan Thompson says the agency has introduced numerous procedures to aid this process.
By the end of the year, knock on wood, we'll have the radar back in operation in Jamaica. And so that will help us to identify rainfall where it occurs over the island, but also where it is going across the island. And we can pick up some nowcasting, some systems or hazards that we can nowcast in terms of short-term forecasting using that radar. So we can tell you about the squalls and the squall lines before they move into your area.
The country recently experienced a squall line. However, it was not until after the incident that the agency released an advisory. Strengthening the policies will change that narrative. According to ODPEM's newly elected chairman, Dennis Chung, the conversations have been in the making for quite some time.
And we welcome this policy because hazards, whether natural, man-made, or biological, can strike without warning, and they can have devastating impacts on lives, livelihoods, and infrastructure. However, with sound planning, collaborative efforts, and proactive measures, we can minimize the impacts.
Jamaica has experienced flooding, drought, hurricane, and earthquakes, all in the space of a year. The agency, in its anticipation of a greater impact on the country with future disasters, is supporting the idea of being safe rather than sorry. Trisha Gay Kelly, CVM News.
Now, the St. James Police announced what's being argued as a controversial decision regarding public events, revealing permits will not be issued for gatherings featuring an artist known for his provocative lyrics. Now, the announcement raises questions about artistic expression, public safety, and the role of law enforcement in regulating cultural events. Britannia Witter is our reporter.
The St. James Police has announced that no permits will be given to events looking to hire specific trap dancehall artists, a decision which stems from a song the artist released earlier this year promoting the mowing down of officers. Commanding officer for the St. James Division, Aaron Samuels, says members of his team have made their position clear in that they will not provide security for any upcoming event featuring a controversial artist. As a result, no permits will be issued.
My police officers have made it clear that they are unwilling to work on a private basis if this artist is scheduled for a show or to perform at an event in St. James.
Superintendent Samuels says the police can't stop an artist from performing, but based on an agreement where police officers are hired to work off duty at these events, he cannot grant permits when his officers refuse to work because of the message the artist encourages.
We cannot force a police officer to work at any of these events. So it's merely on a basis where if they are available and are willing, they'll work. And these police officers have made it clear, based on the stance that they have taken with the professional pride that they have, that they will not perform at an event where somebody is openly insinuating that person should hit them down whilst they're doing their lawful duty, trying to protect the citizens of this country.
Standing in solidarity with his officers, he says their stance on the issue is unwavering for every artist who pushes a narrative of harm for the authorities.
I stand with these police officers, and my officers are of the view that they will not work at an event featuring any artist, not just this one, any artist that is trying to provoke persons to bring about harm to any law enforcement person within this country.
This comes after one of their colleagues, Constable Lenroy Codner, succumbed to his injuries he received after being hit by a motorist during a roadblock exercise along the Greenville Main Road in St. John's earlier this month. Reports are that the driver initially slowed down, but upon reaching Codner, he sped up, hitting him before driving off. Since then, the song titled No Cap has garnered the attention of numerous social media users, with many people making light of the situation. Social media users are divided, with some supporting the police's stance, while others advocate for freedom of expression. Britannia Witter, CVM News.
More news in a moment.
Jamaica, get ready! Saturday, October 26th, live on the lawns of Uwimona. It's Boys to Men. Singing your favorite hits. Also performing live, Tess and Chin and Lila Ike. Get your tickets now at caribtix.com, Kingston, Jer, and Fontana. Saturday, October 26th, 2024. It's Boys to Men, live on the lawns of Uwimona. Starts at 8 p.m. Sponsored by Supreme Ventures, Mayberry, Main Event, Island Grill, and Courtly Hospitality Group.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Quick Chick. May I take your order, please?
Sure. Can I have a barbecue chicken sandwich box?
Here's your order. Thank you.
Gotta be faster than that. Quick Chick. Great taste without the wait. Hi, I am Antonio Johnson and I am a JPS engineering intern.
I'm a past student of Kingston College and a recent graduate of the University of Technology, Jamaica. That was me back in 2022. Today, I'm a full-time employee at JPS working as a network planning engineer. I do a lot of planning around upgrading and maintaining the network that you are benefiting from right now. JPS is a great place to develop professionally. Thank you, Salita, and thank you, JPS, for giving me a chance to shine.
JPS, powering the youth, powering what matters.
Welcome back. The Norman Manley International Airport, the NMIA, a vital gateway to Jamaica, is poised for a significant transformation over the next 5 years. The airport's operator, PAC, Kingston Airport Limited, PACAL, members of the media actually toured the facility yesterday.
The Norman Manley International Airport, NMIA, is set to undergo a transformative 5-year development plan aimed at enhancing its infrastructure and passenger experience. The airport's operators, PAC Kingston Airport Limited, PACAL, unveiled the plan, which promises to significantly modernize the airport facilities and operations. The company will spend $143 million on the upgrades. One of the primary focuses of the development plan is the extension of the runway by an additional 300 meters. This extension will not only accommodate larger aircrafts, but also include safety areas at both ends of the runway.
Then we will shift the threshold by 150 meters so that we have runway end safety area at each end of the runway. So the TORA, or the area that we currently use, 2,716 meters in length, will not change.
In addition to extending the runway, PACAL has already undertaken significant maintenance work by replacing the asphalt on the runway and the taxi areas. The interior experience at NMIA is also set for substantial improvements. One of the most notable changes will be in the check-in process. PACAL plans to double the number of self-service kiosks available for passengers, making it easier and faster for travelers to check in upon arrival at the airport.
These are newly installed. They allow you to print your bag tags and boarding passes to check in for your flights. We had 10 before, we now have 20. It's part of our common use check-in system here at Norman Manley International Airport. Common use means any airline that you fly with uses the same equipment.
So any airline can use any counter, which allows the airport to be more flexible and adaptable to demand. So if on any given day, an airline is not flying that day or at that time, we can use it for any other airline. So people used to work, once upon a time, it was fixed. You come up, where is JetBlue? Where is it? Right, no, they can be anywhere, so hence the squeeze.
The extended departure lounge will also have additional commercial spaces.
We will still have one duty-free, but we'll have more retail, more food and beverage, more seating, and of course a feature that shows that you're in the Kingston Airport. We'll have a play area over by that side. The mural will remain, because as you know, we have a lot of art by local artists throughout the airport. This escalator will also be changed to a brand new escalator. A lot of persons don't know, but there are elevators down this corridor that takes you to the Club Kingston lounge and also to downstairs if you don't want to use the stairs or the escalator.
And after a long flight, most passengers are generally eager to depart the airport. Once you have filled out the Immigration or Customs Declaration C5 form online, the passage should be easier.
You don't need to go to anybody and then go through the e-gates. Takes less than 5 minutes once you have done your form. So we encourage everyone to do the form before you get here. Otherwise, you'll need to stay in the pier and complete the form before you come to this area. They have another set of kiosks for Jamaicans only with Jamaican passport. Once you've done the form, you just go through the kiosk. You don't need to go through the kiosk, then the e-gate. You go straight through to the e-gates.
The airport has also achieved multiple certifications from international accreditation bodies. On Monday, the business report will share more of the plans for the upgrade and what it could mean for business. Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
We'll be back in a moment.
Be a big deal when we touch the ground. Yeah, a KFC when we're pulling up. Anything for the taste of a KFC, big deal. The time by KFC is.
It's a big payday sale at Courts. Friday, October 25 to Sunday the 27th. Save $30,000 or more on top furniture, appliance, and electronics brands. 3 days of mega savings. The big payday sale at Courts, bringing value home. Conditions apply.
J&J, Montego Bay's leading pharmacy, is now open at shops 21 to 24 Harbour City Mall, with friendly staff filling your prescription while you wait in comfort. There's a special place for private conversations. For all hard-to-get drugs, prescriptions, or over-the-counter medication, makeup, fragrances, gifts, household items, and much more. You can find it all here at J&J Harbour City. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call 876-952-7386. WhatsApp 876-997-7644. We serve with care.
Hi everyone, my name is Kurt Dunn.
Greetings from Kelly's Kelly Yoga.
Hey, it's Travin Morrison, and I am your National Physical Activity Specialist. And it's time to make a move.
Jamaica, let's get moving again. Season 2 of the Ministry of Health and Wellness Jamaica Move series is here. Join us Wednesdays at 5 a.m. and Saturdays at 8 a.m. right here on CVM TV. Let's get moving.
Make a move now.
And we continue with a look at what's taking place on social media.
So, what's trending in our local social media spaces? Social media users are reacting to a post made by an investment company. The post shared a budget breakdown of a young professional earning $300,000, with allocations such as $120,000 for rent, $16,000 for gas, and $35,000 for groceries. Here are some of your reactions. At Kashal Iwell writes, the average young professional is not making $300K a month. They need to be for real. At iSocialJA shares, budget of a young professional suffering from depression. At Mama Shell comments, dollar amounts aside, this shows the budget of a young professional that's only working to pay bills. That is currently my reality. I have zero left over for fun or miscellaneous. At Jamaica Gal writes, this is very disappointing. This young professional has no savings nor investments, goes nowhere, takes way too many baths cause 7K water bill a madness. At It's Just _Ren posts, what age group is considered as young professionals? Because the average young professional, 20 to 30, is lucky to make 150K to 200K net salary. And that's what's trending online today. Continue to share your thoughts with us on X at CVM TV and the CVM_television on Instagram. I'm Ronaldo Adams.
In regional and international news, in recent months, consumers in Barbados have faced significant challenges due to a chicken shortage that has affected both availability and prices. However, in recent developments that suggest this troubling trend may be coming to an end.
Fresh from a meeting with poultry producers, Minister of Agriculture, Food and Nutritional Security in Darwin is assuring consumers the chicken shortage will be short-lived. He says chicken will be back on supermarket shelves in abundance by the end of this month, and there will be more than enough for Christmas.
There will be no shortage of chicken going into the Christmas period.
And I think that Barbadians can rest assured that whatever we do, we have always been consistent with what we are saying.
The minister tells the CBC News this is due to an increase in poultry production. He says should that not adequately meet demand, the backup plan is to import. Minister Ware explains that while climate change played a role, the biggest contributing factor to the scarcity was small farmers reducing their orders in July and August by 156,000 chicks. The reduction, he says, was fueled by fears of a glut in the market, sparked by some players in the industry suggesting that a lot of chicken wings and whole chickens were imported for Cricket World Cup.
That situation had nothing to do with what was happening with poultry in Barbados, and that was the ADMC under state trade mechanism bringing in chicken wings that never affected the Barbados poultry industry. And now from what you can see in the supermarkets, where shelves are at times empty, because the local producers can't keep up with demand, will suggest that the information that the BAS put out misled the country first and foremost, and perhaps contributed to small farmers not growing chickens.
And internationally now, responding to questions at the BRICS summit, Russian President Vladimir Putin is reiterating any expansion of NATO's Eastern Front is a direct threat to Russia's national security.
For the first time since the war in Ukraine, our Russia editor, Steve Rosenberg, has been allowed to ask the Russian president a question. It happened a short time ago in Kazan.